Okay, so now we proceed to bulk transport. Okay, so for bulk transport, it has two types. Okay, the first one we call as endocytosis. The other one are exocytosis. Okay, but for endocytosis, it has two types. Okay, two process that we considered as endocytosis. The first one we call as phagocytosis. The other one are pinocytosis. Okay, so firstly, what is endocytosis? It is the process of transporting material into a cell. Maksudnya dia akan melibatkan transporting material, okay, material daripada luar sel masuk ke dalam sel. So itu adalah endocytosis. And then the cell bring in macromolecule and particulate matter by forming new vesicle here, or it can also forming a vacuole. Okay, in specific for phagocytosis, it will involve formation of the food vacuole from plasma membrane. Okay, so if we look detail about the process of phagocytosis and also pinocytosis, okay, macam mana kita nak bezakan in between phagocytosis and pinocytosis? Okay, the similarities, both phagocytosis and pinocytosis are endocytosis, which is it will involve transporting of the material into cell. Maksudnya kedua-dua akan melibatkan transporting material daripada luar sel masuk ke dalam sel. Tetapi apa beza dia? Kalau untuk phagocytosis, it is a process whereby cell engulf large and also solid particle. So means that for phagocytosis, it will involve large and also solid particle. But for pinocytosis, it is a process whereby a cell takes in liquid. Maksudnya material tu adalah dalam bentuk liquid. Tapi kalau untuk phagocytosis, okay, it's material, it is in the form of solid particle or large molecule. Okay, and then for phagocytosis, it will involve formation of phagosome. So here, okay, so this is what we call as phagosome or food vacuole. Why? For pinocytosis, it will involve formation of small vesicle. Okay, so this is the vesicle. And then for phagocytosis, material are digested and absorbed into cytoplasm. Okay, so since the material are digested, so means that phagocytosis, it must involve lysosome. Because of what? In lysosome, it has hydrolytic enzyme which enable it to digest the content inside of the food vacuole. Why for pinocytosis, since okay, the particle is already in liquid, so means that it does not need to digest it anymore. So that's why it does not involve lysosome. So what happened to the material? Material will absorb directly into cytoplasm. Maksudnya dia tak melibatkan digestion. Okay, so now we look at the detail here. Okay, the mechanism of both phagocytosis and also pinocytosis. Okay, so we look at the phagocytosis first. The cell engulf a particle by extending pseudopodia. So where does the pseudopodia? Here. Okay, so what happened? The cell engulf, okay, the particle by extending the pseudopodia. Dia akan membentuk pseudopodia macam ni. Okay, and then around it and packaging it into large vacuole or the food vacuole. So once the particle is already engulfed, okay, by the membrane which form a pseudopodia, so the particle will package into a large vacuole, or we call this one as the food vacuole or phagosome. And then the content of the vacuole are digested when fused with the lysosome. Okay, so now we look at the mechanism. Okay, so how to explain the process of phagocytosis? First, cell membrane. So this is the cell membrane. It will form pseudopodia first like this. Okay, it will form pseudopodia. And then what happen? The pseudopodia will surround the particle. Okay, dia akan mengelilingi particle tu, the large particle. And then the cell will engulf. Engulf ni dia macam makan. So dia akan engulf the particle. So the phagosome or food vacuole is formed. So this is the phagosome or the food vacuole. Inside of the phagosome, it has the solid particle or the large particle. Okay, and then what happened to the phagosome after that? Phagosome will move into cytoplasm. Okay, and then it will fuse with the lysosome. Okay, so kalau kita refresh balik, this is Golgi body. So Golgi body will produce lysosome. Okay, and then the lysosome will fuse with the phagosome or the food vacuole. Why lysosome must fuse with the phagosome? Because of what? Inside of the lysosome, it has hydrolytic enzyme which enable it to digest the food particle. Okay, so the product is absorbed. Okay, so this is the product is absorbed and undigested content is released through exocytosis. Okay, exocytosis means that the undigested content will be secreted out from the cell. Okay, so kalau kita nak bezakan dengan pinocytosis, okay, it is a process whereby cell takes in liquid. Kalau untuk phagocytosis tadi, okay, the cell engulf, okay, the large or the solid particle. Tapi kalau untuk pinocytosis, it is a process whereby cell takes in liquid. Okay, so the mechanism, the cytoplasmic membrane invaginate. Invaginate means this one dia akan membentuk macam pocket tu. Okay, and then it will pinch off, dia akan terkeluar. And then it will form a vesicle. So inside of this vesicle, it contain droplet of extracellular fluid. Okay, is formed. So terbentuknya vesicle. So since okay, the material or the particle it is already in liquid. So means that for pinocytosis, it does not involve lysosome. Tak perlu lagi berlaku digestion. So what happened to the liquid content of the vesicle? It is directly absorbed into cytosol, or it is directly absorbed into cytoplasm. Okay, so this is the difference between the process of phagocytosis and also pinocytosis. Okay, so now we look at the other one process of the bulk transport, which is called exocytosis. Okay, so what is exocytosis? It is a process that transports substance out of cell. Kalau macam endocytosis tadi, it will involve transporting material into cell, daripada luar masuk ke dalam. Tapi kalau exocytosis, daripada dalam sel keluar. So ni bezanya antara endocytosis dan juga exocytosis. So the mechanism, vesicle will move to plasma membrane. So let's say this is the vesicle. So what happened to the vesicle? It will move to the plasma membrane, and then the two membrane fuse. Means that the membrane of the vesicle will fuse with the plasma membrane. So the content of the vesicle is spilled to the outside. Spill tu maksudnya kita, ataupun kita kata what happened to the content of the vesicle, it will be secreted out. Okay, so the vesicle membrane become parts of plasma membrane. Sebab apa? Dia dah berlaku fusion in between the vesicle membrane and also the plasma membrane. So once the content inside of the vesicle is already secret or spill out to the outside, okay, so the membrane tu dia akan fuse together. Okay, so this is for exocytosis.